Good morning, everyone, and welcome back to renovating the Casa bathroom. It's going to be another big day here on the Rancho. Even though it's a Wednesday, my off day from my regular job, I'm on the job here because we need to get this knocked off and done. And we're not that far from completing the job. The thing I want to do today, last time you were here in the last exciting episode, you know that I primed the ceiling. I skim coated that and sanded it down and then primed it, and it just looks glorious, even primed. So what I did is I went out and bought Kilz, K-I-L-Z. It's a really good brand it's a primer, and it's also a paint. It has great imperfection coverage, meaning if there's anything bleeding through the paint, which there's not in this case, but it's a dead flat white. And by dead flat, I mean there's absolutely no sheen on it at all. And it also resists the buildup of mold due to moisture. Even though we have a fan in here, you know, you have to make sure the fan is running every time a shower is being taken. But paint like Kilz is a really great product. So I want to knock out the ceiling and paint that now with the Kilz Dead Flat White. And then when we're done that and that dries off a bit, we're going to start the project of waterproofing today. And in my opinion, although there's really no such thing as totally waterproofing a shower, that's why we have several levels of a mortar bed, then a vinyl liner, and then a mortar bed on top of that with weep holes on the drain that if water gets down from the walls behind tile, it's going to migrate down to that vinyl liner. And from that point, it'll make its way onto the vinyl liner, underneath the top mortar bed and tile, and down to the weep hole. But we do use something called RedGard. It has nothing to do with Chairman Mao's Legion of Little RedGard in China. It has everything to do with waterproofing. And if you put RedGard behind tile, 2 coats of that, it does an outstanding job of putting a waterproof barrier. It's called an elastic polymer. And what that does is the house shifts and settles and the walls move a little bit. This will be able to move with it and maintain that sort of waterproof membrane. It smells like hell, but we're going to be covering the nail holes and the imperfections first with little strips of the waterproof, the Schluter tape. Then we're going to be going back and overcoating the whole shower to get a really good waterproofing done. According to RedGard, and I've seen this in practice, 2 coats is enough to really maintain and have a good waterproof coverage on that. So having said that, it's time to stop blabbing and time to start working. Just rolling the ceiling. Make very sure I don't miss anything. I did all the cutting in. We're getting close to the edges here. Now it's just a matter of roll on. Pop that paint on. I know I should have probably taken the bulb out, but you know how that goes. Once a painting cowgirl, always a painting cowgirl. More paint, load up that roller. Don't be cheap. Don't be cheap with the paint. Yeah. Nice Kilz Dead Flat White. Absolutely no sheen whatsoever. Just the way this gal likes it. Okay, that's how we roll. Okay guys, the ceiling is done, looking good. Gonna let it dry good, and then later today we can put the vent cover on, and we can slide the trim rings around the lights. It's now time to go over here to the shower area and start our waterproofing. And the first thing I have to do is make sure we're all square and sanded down here. We're gonna only a very little bit of light sanding. We need to knock off any high points that show up, and then we'll start the waterproofing process. Okay guys, the product I'm going to talk about is the Schluter. It's a German company. It makes something called Kerdi. And you can put a whole membrane over the shower. It is expensive as the devil, but it's a polyester mesh product. And I'll use this on the seams down at the bottom of the shower and part way up the wall. I'll also cut off pieces and apply the RedGard, then put the fiber tape on, then RedGard over it. Then we'll RedGard over the whole thing a couple times, the waterproofing membrane. So that's what I want to do now, and in conjunction with the RedGard, this stuff should be fantastic at keeping out the leaks. Now, when I go up the walls, I can actually really probably cut this in half lengthwise, so I don't have to use so much, because this is over $1 a foot for this stuff. It is extremely expensive, but it really works well. So time to get started on putting up the waterproof membrane on the seams and any hole covers. Okay, you can see, I hope you like hot pink, guys, because that's what we got going on down here. First thing I'm doing, and the most important taping of all, and I'm using the broadest tape, is on the shower floor where it meets the walls. And this is where most of the problems are going to happen in shower stalls, because the water is going to go through, cracks going to develop between the wall board, the cement board, and the mortar bed down there. And what's going to happen is the moisture is going to start migrating up into the cement board, and it's going to turn it into mush up there. So we want to prevent that from happening by giving a generous taping of the seams on the bottom, which you can see we've done here. So now it's time to move up the sides here, and we need to worry less. The higher we go, the less we need to worry. Now the whole thing is going to be overcoated with the RedGard here, so no doubt about that. Everything is going to get it. Down here in these kind of places, it's going to get it 2 times. Probably the whole shower will get it 2 times. So I'm going to roll on and get some of these wall connections done. Stuff is pretty amazing, huh? It goes on that hot pink. And then when it's totally a red color like over here, it is dry. So you can see basically I've got all the seaming done now. So what I want to do now is cut up some little pieces and start over popping the where the screws go in, and some of the nails for a little extra waterproofing around some of those holes. Okay, rolling right along, you can see, boy, you better like that hot red color. You can see I've got all the screw holes and all the nail heads covered here. So the next thing to do is get the wide brush and overcoat the walls, and then we're going to come back and do that a second time. And then we're going to do the first coat on the floor, and then a second coat.
What are you doing?
Playing with hot pink sauce today, huh? What do you think? This stuff is horrendous, isn't it?
Stinks like hell.
Stinks like hell, this waterproofing stuff, but it's good stuff. I'm laying on the first coat of waterproofing for the shower, and this should always help to maintain the integrity or the waterproofing of the cement board and the backer board and stuff. So it's very important that this stuff be put on very liberally and allowed to really work in. You can see I seen did some seams where you get the high risk area of water intrusion and all that. So just rolling along now. I'm going to just finish this. Let it dry and then get the roller out and just roll over it one time. Got to do the floor too, okay?
Very good.
10-4. Thank you.
You're welcome. We all love you.
I love you too.
All
you YouTubers, love you too. Ooh, what a beautiful color, eh? Phew. Well, we had just enough for the first bucket. It had $47 a bucket plus tax. You're talking about $52 a gallon for that stuff. But that stuff is supposed to be the bomb. as far as waterproofing goes. So I'm going to let this dry for about an hour. Then I'm going to come back with the roller, and we're going to roller good for second coat, making sure that we hit all the seams. The lower, the more liberally we want to apply it. Not much chance of moisture up top, so I'm not going to worry too much about that. We got the niches real good. They're looking good, so yeah, things are going along good. It's I'm not gonna lie to you, the stuff is a mess, you know. But I'm gonna take a break now, get something to eat, and come back and roll the second coat. Okay, we're rolling on the second coat. As you know, I brushed on the first coat because I want to make sure I get it into every little crevice. But the second coat can be rolled on. This is our second gallon of the product, so you know, basically $100, 2 gallons of this stuff to waterproof the shower stall to as great an extent possible. You know, rolls on real easy. It gives you a little bit of peace of mind behind the towel. You know that your wall board won't be destroyed, your cement board and all that. You know. That's the upside of the price. $100 for a little bit of peace of mind on that. So, okay. I don't want to roll on the windows here, so being very careful there. All right, guys, and that's the way we roll. I've had it with the blood red. Wrapping up for the day. Unfortunately, I hit that wall a little bit over there. It looks like somebody got murdered over there, huh? But I've got I've rolled the whole shower stall for the second coat. So all we have to do now is just let this dry really thoroughly. And what this is actually a plastic film that's elastic. And as the walls shift and things, this membrane, this elastic waterproofing membrane will actually shift with it. So this should really, in theory, be an absolutely watertight shower, which I've gone to extraordinary lengths as I've been doing this project to try to do, because I know that water is the enemy of structure when it comes to construction and remodeling. In other words, water going where you don't want it to go, and sometimes a lot of it, just destroys wall boards. It turns mortar into mush, into paste. So our whole focus here is just to control water and make sure it's channeled in ways that aren't going to be destructive. So now we've reached a point where, you know, if we get water behind the shower towel, at least it won't be destroying the undercoating. You know, might have to eventually replace some towels if it's catastrophic. But the walls and the flooring should survive that very well. So we do a good job grouting and do a good job sealing. We should be in good shape, because we can really know there was nothing more we really could have done to try to make the shower stall as waterproof as possible. As you know, today we also finished off the ceiling. Looks beautiful. Here we final coated that, so I want to let everything dry good, and then next time in we'll be able to put the trim rings on and put the plate on the blower. The duct air coming into the bathroom, and that should hold up for a lot of good years there. So the next thing we'll be doing, guys, it's been a long time coming, is setting all the tile on these walls and everything from floor to ceiling. And we have to make sure that we get level lines, and we'll make sure we don't get to the ends, you know, where the ends are, and we have tiny little slivers and things. So we have to use a lot of our brain, and a lot of our success is going to be determined on the first course of tile we set at the bottom, because any errors that we make as we rise are going to be magnified and compounded. Some of the issues that we're going to face, as I said, we don't want slivers of tile in here wherever possible. We want a little bit of thicker cuts. We don't want to come a few tiles over and then find out we only need a very narrow little strip against the window there. So we have to be very careful about how we plan that out too. So it's going to take a lot of thought and a lot of planning, and I'll probably do that over the next couple days to just sort of get a jump on things. But for today, let's enjoy the fact that the smelly waterproofing, the RedGard, is all done, and you can certainly see why they call it RedGard now. It rolls on pink, but boy does it end a hell of a startling red color. But it should give us a beautifully waterproof shower stall. Thanks so much for being here today. You know, things are getting closer to the grand finale of the whole project, from rebuilding floors, moving plumbing, to new electrical. It's all coming into the home stretch, guys. Thanks for being here.